Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's me here, Old Emo Dave, and I have got for our special guest this week someone who's just had a brilliant one in one of our favorite formats, Pauper. I got with me Dario, the UK Pauper Nationals winner. Dario, first of all, great run, my friend, and welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Just for everyone who sort of listened and was intrigued by the run and sort of how the event was going, just give us a general sort of introduction to yourself. How long have you been playing Magic, favourite formats and things like
that? Sure. I've been playing Magic since 2018. Guilds of Ravnica was my first set. And I haven't been playing Pauper all that long, actually. So I played Standard mostly until I went off to uni, which was like 21 or something, and I sort of didn't play Magic for a while. And then when I graduated, I came back to Bristol. I thought, I'll see what's going on in the Bristol Magic scene. And there wasn't really all that much, but I decided to go along to Bristol Pauper. So yeah, I started playing Pauper this summer, and I've been hooked ever since. Basically, instantly fell in love with the format. And yeah, Pauper's my favorite format. Nationals was my first big tournament. Like, you know, it's really a Pauper only kind of thing at the moment.
Wow, so there's a bit of a whirlwind run that you've been on, like, and again, like you've had a really great base to get back to. Obviously, yeah, Bristol is something that I know I think the whole country's looking at now and going like, hey, what is this big enigma? Where's everybody coming from who's so good at Pauper? You go to the regular Bristol Pauper nights on a Thursday. Tell us a little bit more about it. Why it sort of like sparked your ability and talent, and also kind of got you like straight in there to be in your main format.
So, I mean, I think instantly, like, it's community run, but it doesn't feel like it. The organizer team, Dex, Susie, and Nico, have done an amazing job at running like what is essentially like a competitive, well put together league night every week, which feels, you know, you feel comfortable being there. You can go and get drinks at the Shreddenhams where it's held, and I think I'm a very competitive player. I always have been. Even when I played Standard and stuff like this. And I think the reason the Bristol Pauper League made me fall back in love with Magic so much, and maybe like pushed me to be a better player, is that everyone there is also quite competitive, and not just talented, but also like they want to play the game to win. They want to play like the best game of Magic they can. And, you know, I think one thing that I really noticed was, like, after every match, more often than not, your opponent will pull all the cards they sideboarded out and be like, is this correct? Like, would you have played anything differently? What do you think about this card versus this card? And, I mean, you get so much more, like, testing and matchup information than you would at any other F&M or normal night I've ever been to. That it, you know, people at Nats were talking about like the secret Bristol Pauper testing house. Well, that's just the league night, because it always feels like a testing house.
Well, it's not so secret, right? Like it's incredibly active. Or specifically, if you listen to this and this is the first time you've heard about it, definitely follow like the Instagram. We will link the Bristol Pauper Magic Scene like Discords. It's not secret. If you are in Bristol and you want to play, I've seen it mentioned by multiple people. I know we've seen like even people like Pleasant Kenobi like retweet the fact that like there's even this is happening, and like how is it being so well run and put together. Mention them there, and I think like, yeah, there's some leaders, but I think the whole community needs like a massive pat on the back as well. It exists because of the people who go, and also the way that they've supported. And like you say, they keep it competitive, as in they come play to win, but they play to make you better as well. Like I think we've obviously go back just before Christmas, we held something in Cardiff and Firestorm, and like almost like half the players were Bristol people, but they were so thrilled to be there that winning was secondary. but winning was also like their target. It's a bit of a strange one to explain, and I think like it's best explained that they want more people playing.
Yeah,
but
of course. Yeah.
That is, they feel like the people will play more and for longer if they get the thrill of winning as well.
Yeah, like I guess playing to win isn't exactly it, is it? It's more like they want the best game of Magic for them and you. You know, like if you the after game discussion, you know, they're not hiding tech from you. They're not telling you. They're not hiding your misplays from you so they can beat you next time. They're like, no, they want the best game, and you know they're competitive in the purest sense of the word. That like everyone there is just like, Magic is really fun when we're all trying and we're all good.
Yeah, 100%. And you get that. I've been in scenes previously where you see them where they're the best person in their store. And that whole sort of like best person in your store mentality is actually going to be your downfall, because ultimately you need to be challenging yourself, be it playing against the best, playing against higher level players, and having an environment like that is just top notch. There's been Pauper Commander nights, there's been the new to play night, and then there's also like the spicy brew concoction, which seems like it's almost like the bigger fan favorite of like coming along with that once a season.
Yeah. So like, you know, after the 10 weeks of normal league play, this season we had 4 off seasons. So you mentioned 3 of them. We had the brew night, which, you know, you pretty much you were discouraged from bringing any cards that are meta. And then we had the Pauper dual commander, which was interesting. And then we had team trios, which was a massive success. Everyone loves team trios, especially in Pauper.
Yes.
And you know, we had people who'd never come before, like modern players, legacy players, just come to play team trios because it's so much fun. But yeah, I think like everyone there just loves playing Pauper, whatever we're doing. And I think the off nights for the league are also really important, and I enjoyed all of them.
Yeah, it keeps the engagement up, doesn't it, as well? It keeps things special, because some of the fallout you'll get of, hey, let's have an 8-week league, is like 5 weeks in, sometimes people will be completely out of the race. So knowing that they only maybe have to, they don't necessarily have to skip too much. They don't need to skip, because ultimately what's coming is a fun alternative, or there's something else to engage with if you stay regular, is really, really good. And I look forward myself to say I will be popping over for the last one before Christmas. Obviously, just a little teaser. The Get Your Deck Out Santa will be coming along with some just little gifts for the players who are there. But I got to get myself a seat, right? Like literally, you just launched season 3, and you just couldn't even sign up because there was so many people.
Yeah, I think it was record attendance. We reached capacity, which is 36 players, which is amazing for a weekly event. And I mean, yeah, like it only seems to be getting bigger and bigger. I don't know what the organizers are going to do about it, because we had, you know, a waiting list of 5 or 10 people, I think.
Don't know how you even make locals busier. I think like at the heyday of Pioneer, we were getting in Cardiff about 16 to 18, and that felt quite overwhelming for like a locals night to handle. To have that many people is, yes, credit to the community that's built, but credit to the organizers to just actually make that be something that 30 odd people are going to enjoy every week. Yeah, it's something that I think they could probably write a template and pass on to Wizards of the Coast, and it would do really, really well. But it's really served you well into sort of like getting yourself deep into the Pauper meta, and obviously moving on to Nationals. Obviously, you got to go with a bit of a team, which is cool, but you went with a deck that I'll need to eat my words on, because in the run-up episode I did kind of mention there's always somebody in the UK who brings Elves, but Elves ain't gonna win, and you proved me wrong. So why Elves? What was this special tech that you can tell us about, and like how did you land there?
Sure. So Elves is, I was never not going to bring Elves. So, you know, the thing you say about there's always a UK player who brings Elves, that much is true, because I'm always going to bring it. It's been my, I guess, like, Elves has been my deck in every format I've ever played. I played Elves in Standard when it wasn't a thing. Like I had an Elvish Clan Caller and that was about it. I played Elves in Pioneer, and now I play Elves in Pauper. So when I joined the league, like that was the deck I had built, and it was a terrible, like 2 years out of date thing. But you know, over the 10 weeks, I stuck with it because it's the deck that I had, and I improved it, bring it up to date. And the Bristol Pauper League, like the first week I had after my games, my opponents were like, "You shouldn't really be running that card, to be honest. If you tried this one." So yeah, like I had my list, and you know, about a few weeks in, some people were like talking about Pauper Nationals, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds like a laugh." And I started not testing, but like thinking about the deck, and like I was doing okay at the league. Like I made the league top 8 in League 2, and you know I had a decent win rate, going 2-2 or 3-1 or 4, you know, every week. And I was thinking, like, this deck is actually not badly positioned in the meta. Like it has a terrible matchup against mono red, but it has an amazing matchup against mono blue, which is the top deck. And I can play against everything else, right? So like I've got one matchup that I need to dodge, and apart from that, I'm kind of okay, which is a position I like to be in. I'm sort of like almost a gambler in that sense. I don't like going to a tournament with all 50-50s. I like going with some almost auto wins and some auto losses, and just like hope that I get there. I remember, like, I think I watched your episode last week and you called this kind of spicy. And I guess it doesn't, you know, if you don't follow Pauper like religiously, it seems a bit like some of the cards in it seem a bit crazy. Like we're playing 4 Sagu Wildlings and stuff. I think the conceit of this version of Elves is Elves are a means to an end, which is to get to 5 mana and cast a threat. And like one of the things I did in the last week, which I almost couldn't bring myself to do, was cut the 4th Timberwatch off, because it's a card that doesn't really do much the turn you play it, and against red it's awful because it dies immediately. I was like, I kind of just want another Avenging Hunter, because the initiative is so powerful, and I would never have won the event without Avenging Hunter.
I would say when looking at it, I felt that you would taken this a little bit towards I'm going to end up at mid-range rather than I'm going to end up at overwhelm, which was sort of more the angle that like was which you taken. And as you mentioned, Avenging Hunter pretty much did the job.
Yeah, one of the problems with Timberwatch Elf is that it doesn't matter if you have 20 elves if they have a chump blocker.
Yes.
And Nyxborn Hydra and Avenging Hunter having trample solves this problem. And like Elves as an engine is incredibly powerful, but I think that the obsession with playing like 50 elves and nothing else leads to problems where you just like lose the game to a board wipe, or you lose the game to someone who has a Murmuring Mystic or a bunch of 1/1s. And I feel like this deck is really resilient, and in a lot of matchups you can actually play not quite control, but that at Nats I had quite often a play pattern where you just go tutor a land out of my deck, play the land, play a chump blocker, pass the turn, and I do that for 6 turns until I resolve a creature bigger than your creature. And it's a deck that it's obviously the deck I was always going to bring. It's a deck I'm really comfortable on, and I think like people I played against were really surprised about the build. So it sort of has that edge where like people are expecting this Birchlaw Rangers multicolor elves thing, whereas this is actually quite a lot simple. It's like Llanowar Elves, turn 2 or 3, slam a hunter, your go. And I think that's what got me there in the end.
Yeah, like there's a sort of a sweet spot that this deck seems to have filled in between what the people who are trying to bring like a Gruul monsters, where like they are all in on ramp up to the big thing, but by the time you get there, the other person's board is maybe too wide to restabilize. But like you say, like make your elves be a means to an end of slamming a hunt, slamming your generous ent, and so at some point in the game, turn 7, turn 8, you're sitting there with a couple of 5/7s and also got the initiative, and they've just still trying to chump through with burning emissary and a couple of creatures, and like you ultimately win the game, and like that's such a great meta call, really. And you also are we're not living in a breath weapon world at the moment, I guess, is probably the thing to shout out. We are seeing the suffocating fumes, is it the -1/1 effects, but
yeah,
you built around it instead.
Yeah, so like I think in a sense I built around it because if I can get to turn 3, I no longer care. Whereas lots of Elves decks in history would still care on subsequent turns, but as long as I can untap and deploy a threat, then you can kill all my Elves. I don't really mind. That being said, I still like good players who have Breath Weapon in their deck will be able to stop me. I did get quite lucky in that I dodged mid-range all day, basically. Like I played against Boros Synth and these kind of grindy value engines, but I didn't play against Jund, I didn't play against Grixis, which is like, they're winnable matchups for me, but they're very difficult and they're a slog. And I dodged red all day as well, until the semi-finals. And like, there was definitely some luck involved in that. I did play against bad matchups, like Mono Black I played against 3 times, but I was expecting a lot more mid-range at Nats, is basically what I'm saying, and I didn't see it. So
yeah, like, regardless of how this plays out, and yeah, you self calling out, I missed red. You got to actually prepare for these. Well, unless you were preparing for Vivi Spotlight series, where like actually that was a 3-deck format, but you can in this type of size of event and bigger, you kind of just need to go. I need to be fantastic into some games, I need to be in most games, and I need to just concede that I will lose some games. And if you dodge those games completely, like you gotta have that kind of luck. Ultimately, everyone, even the top players are gonna have the times where they'll just go, yeah, I played the 3 worst matchups in my first 3 rounds and I'm out of the tournament. So yeah, still got there.
Yeah, and like, I think having those amazing matchups and then being okay against mid-range, even if it's difficult, allowed me to put all my sideboard slots into my worst matchups. Like when I finally did play Mono Red Madness in the semi-finals and I won, I sideboarded in 14 cards, which is kind of crazy. But like that's just like in testing, that's just what I found I had to do. Like to have a chance, I have to completely change the deck I'm playing.
Yeah, that's what when taking a look at your deck beforehand, was looking at and saying, yeah, you prepared for this tournament knowing that this would be the thing that I have to improve my percentages on. Like you're happy enough to maybe like run yourself into a 55-45 and go, I'll just take the 45 and just hope my skill gets me there. But yeah, your mono red things like your madness matchup are really bad, and you did a great job of sort of preparing for like having an overall plan out of the sideboard, which you stuck to, and as you say, you got there.
Yeah, like I think I definitely found it a bit scary, like running into matchups where I looked at my sideboard and I'm like, there's nothing here, I didn't bring anything because like this matchup is okay, so I hope I win. But yeah, it felt very rewarding to like have a sideboard against my worst matchups and beat them, because I went in the top 8, I went Mono Black, terrible for me, Madness, terrible for me, Spy, historically terrible for me, and winning them all mainly off the back of Monstrous Emergence, actually, just 1 card. But
well, that final top 8, I will sort of say, the thing that blew up the internet was people talking about how the vibes are so strong that you all just completely ignored the cold. It did look a little bit like the whole thing was taking place in an aircraft carrier, which probably added to the charm, but you let us know about that. But the fact that the top 8 was effectively like railed by the whole community, and that the vibes were having a great time first, And then secondly, oh, by the way, there's about 300 quid on the line here. Was the vibes as strong as the internet suggests?
Yeah, mainly down to my mate Adam, actually. They're Bristol Pauper League player, and all their games were popping off. You know, I was sitting there totally locked in on my game in silence, basically, but their game, you know, had 30 spectators and people were laughing. And that, you know, there were judge calls because it was getting so raucous and stuff. But yeah, the vibes were great. And I have to say the cold might have been a Bristol edge as well, because Shreddenham's is really cold.
I have heard this. Yeah.
And, you know, everyone else was complaining, and we were sitting there with our coats off like, no, this is actually fine.
See, that's the thing. If you're really going to prepare, there's testing, there's running up mountains, there's taking cold plunges, and then there's go to Shreddenham's in December. That's how you get yourself mentally well placed and well-being for this.
Yeah,
but
freezing cold, and, you know, you got to block out the noise of 30 skaters right next to you. Like, it's a psychological gauntlet.
It seems to work, though. It seems to work. There was what, 3 out of 4 of the semi-finalists.
Yeah, we put 3 in the top 4. Which, I mean, you know, the conversion rate is just insane because we only brought 7 players.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, no, and it is really testament to all the work that's been done. Different decks as well. That's the other sort of like really cool thing there. It's not that you all just we obviously recording this on day 2 of day 3 of Worlds, and everyone's currently watching the Is It Lessons deck completely break standard. So it's not like you all got together and found the broken source. You just learned the deck that's yours and played really, really well, and that's even more enduring.
Yeah, so, I mean, all 3 of us, me on Elves and Adam on Spy and David on Jund, are, I wouldn't say deck specialists because we're all good at Magic, but like these are the decks we've been playing all season. Like, we didn't pick them up for Nats because we thought they were the best. Like, obviously they're 3 strong decks. We're not playing like rogue stuff, but we did all have, you know, 50, 100 matches under our belt before we came, and, you know, weeks of testing and talking about our decks. And yeah, but that's another thing that's really nice about Bristol is we do have like a really high density of deck specialists. Like, there's, you know, we have Gardens players, we have Synth players, and we have Control players, mono red, mono black. Like, there are people who that's just their deck, which I always really like. I think that's one of the most endearing things about Magic, like having your thing.
Yeah, and I love that there's so many loner decks available that can get you started in a particular lane. And I'm there in the background. I'm in Cardiff. Bristol's close enough. I want to make sure what's going on. And I've watched some people go from, hey, I'm coming to do my first week, and loaning decks off decks or Nico, and they're now like we're challenging for like the top 8 of the league last season. They're really keen and they're involved in the community, and it's just great that sort of that entry was there. And we talk about it on the podcast a lot about the one thing that Magic's maybe lost over the last few years is like the entryway, because people just used to pop into store and they used to draft, and then from their draft they used to build a standard deck, and then with their standard deck they play in PPTQs, etc. Then they play for a few years, and then suddenly they've got a modern deck or extended deck back then. And I love that how like Pauper at a community level starts to almost like engage people in the game, because looking at the overall, like everyone who's involved, it doesn't really always stop at Pauper. I see a lot of you actually branching out into all the other formats with interest, and because you've built it at community level rather than what would be known as like a WPN level, it gives you a little bit more freedom with testing different formats and also allowing playtest cards. But obviously always bringing it back in when like you're doing like formal events for it to be like actual cards. But you go to many of the other things that are available in Bristol for that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I'm an example of that. Like, I'd never played Modern or Legacy before coming back to Bristol this year, but after a few weeks at Pauper, you know, some of the guys there, you know, said, oh, why don't you come along to Proxy Modern and Legacy on Tuesday, which is just like, it's even more community run. It's just at a pub and it's like 12 people.
I love it.
And I said, oh, all right, like I'll print out a deck and come along to that. And I really enjoyed it. And like it really does feel like Pauper was the entryway back into the wider Magic scene. Because I feel like it's a great entry point because inherently it's such a cheap format. Like Nico has a library of about 25 decks to lend out, which would not be possible in another format. It just wouldn't be. Because they're like, you can put them together for 40 to 50 quid each. And that's not like a low ball, that's the average or something. You can be very kind with your cards. You can lend stuff and give away stuff, and even if you played Magic for just a little bit, at some point in your life you might have a bunch of staples that you can trade away and build a deck really quickly. And it makes it such a great entry point because it is sort of a thing that you can come down and do just for a week, and you're not put out if you don't like it.
Yeah, it's the inherent problem that's going to be from the additional sets per year, the availability of cards. People are looking at probably what has felt like a very interesting standard meta, like fun to play since Vivi's been banned. Looking at the decks that are currently at Worlds. We've also just watched, I don't know if you've kept up with this over the weekend, but Artist Talent has gone from £4 to £35 on a card market in about the space of 40 hours. Although you do see some crazy spikes, the one thing with Pauper is we don't see that kind of spike. I think we were talking the other day about a crazily priced common in Pauper, and it was like £4.50. Like, and that's that's like your top end.
I mean, yeah, like the most expensive common is Lotus Petal, but like, come on, that's not it doesn't really feel like a common. Those will set you back about 15, 20 quid. But
yeah.
I mean, apart from that, it's not. I mean, the main thing in Pauper, which is sort of a UK only problem, is card availability. Like if you go on Card Market and you look for some of these older commons, especially Mental Note is the main culprit. There's just no copies in the UK. You have to borrow a playset from someone, or you have to buy them internationally.
I fully endorse if anybody who's looking for my vote in upcoming elections, please obviously have really good morals and ethical standards, but if you would also like to lift the embargo on VAT for cards from Europe, I would also appreciate that. That would be fantastic. Because yes, you do see that from time to time, and Pauper does fall out of it. Like I've had moments where I think I picked it. I've had moments where I've had both ends where like I've spent a little bit too much, but then I've magically found like, oh, you're selling me dust to dust for like 16 quid for a playset. Oh, banging! I'll take it. Great for that. And you're right. A little bit less feel bad if you spend 60 quid getting into a format and you play it for a month and you feel done. You're okay, and I think that's why paper alternative formats haven't necessarily got people coming in the doors that way, because you're going to need to spend £400 to have it. Well, if I drop 400, even though the economy is still terrible, but if I drop £400 into Magic Online or Magic Arena, like I'd have a lot more bang for my buck and a lot more play, and also get going. So I could see, I really want to see Pauper go strength to strength across communities everywhere, because I think what happens is people like yourself win tournaments, you win a bunch of credit on Card Market or said things, and you get and then you consider like, what other tournaments are coming up, because there won't always be Pauper tournaments. Where's your eyes looking next? Are you considering a bit of a standard RCQ run?
I've never really been in like the competitive sphere, and which is strange coming from someone who calls themselves a very competitive player, but it's just the mindset, I suppose. I suppose I could be interested, especially in a post-Vivi standard. We'll see how homogenous the meta is after Worlds. I think the main thing about those formats is that they don't, like, Pauper feels like a format I like. I heard it described very well. that it's a format of the board. Like, it's a format where the board still rules. It's about
Yes, 100%.
combat damage. It's about grinding value and like doing stuff with creatures, which is what I've always loved to do. Like, it's not really played on the stack. It's like spell, counter spell. There you go, and that's the extent of like the massive interactions that happen in the format. Not to say it's not complicated, but it's definitely a format of the board. Whereas a lot of other formats aren't, and I can find that fun, but I don't think it would ever like replace how much I like Pauper.
Yeah, all the other formats would have to tone down, which I don't think you kind of want to tone them down. Like, I see like a sliding scale of interactivity. The interactivity grows, the ability, like where you can interact as you go through standard up to modern. I do quite like, and again, Mr. Pioneer stand here. I like across the board, and yes, in Pauper I can fight over a 1/1 and it be right.
Yeah.
I like in standard that I can do things, but I haven't got fetches. I can do things that I haven't got fetches, but also like haven't got free spells either. So if you're tapped out, you're tapped out. I like that it gets even more powerful in Pioneer, but then also again, I haven't got to worry about free spells or fetches. And also, yeah, as you hit Modern, you hit Legacy, it's like I have to worry about everything. So I need to really assign value out of my next play. I can't just spam the board, as you'd say.
Yeah, I definitely loved Pioneer for several years because I was like, first of all, this is a format that starts when I started playing the game, so it's very
all
nostalgic
the cards,
all the cards that I like. But second of all, like you said, it felt powerful, but fair in quote marks. And I also like the other end of the scale, like the absolute other end of the scale. When I play Proxy Vintage, I find that really fun because it's just like we're chucking free spells on the stack, and you know the game is decided pretty much instantly, and it feels very cool. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame about Pioneer, but
well, hopefully by the time whilst we're recording, we are not at day 3 started. My fingers are still crossed about them turning around and letting us know sometime in 2026 we will see Pioneer. But if they don't, and then people want to interact with this comment, other comments, I will get the Get Your Deck Out credit card out. I will get that Pioneer RCQ firing. Maybe we'll do a big Pauper side event to go alongside it. Let's have an eternal weekend Bath, Bristol, wherever we can host it. We need a bigger venue than Shreddenham's though. So if you are in Bristol and you want to host a really big eternal weekend for those formats, a weird thing we say in Pauper and Pioneer is eternal weekend, but we'll stick Legacy in there as well. Shout out Jose. We'll leave that one on you. You can do the organising. Get us a big pub. Get us a big pub. We'll get it going.
Listen, as long as it's team trios, Pauper, Pioneer, and Legacy, people will come.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick. That's it. That's it in the books. We obviously already have, just as this has gone out, announced that Legacy is coming to Bath in February. So I can definitely see that in our future. Pauper, Pioneer, and Legacy. That sounds like it's like the triple P. That's like, yeah, we can make this a thing. Well, that's clearly your future plans, Dario. Like anything else coming up in your future you either want to talk about or highlight, or we just find you playing Pauper in Bristol on a Thursday, frequenting the Discords, having the best time.
Yeah, pretty much. Come find us at Shreddenham's on Thursdays, play some Pauper. I'll be there every week that I can be. I'll be playing a lot more Magic online, I think, playing some Pauper, so if you want to see where the Elves is going, you can find results if I have a trophy. And yeah, again, big shout out to Bristol Pauper League, big shout out to the organisers. Hope for more Pauper in the Southwest soon.
Absolutely. There's no big secret. Bristol Pauper League is just the biggest community. Come join it if you're local. Come join it if you're not. And yes, in the new year in 2026, we'll get some big collaborations on. Let's have a big event. I think it's time to celebrate us having some of the best Pauper players in the UK. Thanks to everyone for watching and being here. Thanks to Dario for popping on and having a chat about this. An amazing run. I'm going to see what they've got on Card Market now so that I can get my decks up to scratch. See you all soon and on the next one. Bye for now.